Hi, homeschool colleagues. I am Raquel Work, and today we are talking about the value, purpose, and goal of homeschool education. So, I'm going to start off, as I usually do, with the definition of homeschool. Homeschool education has many different definitions, as you would guess. If you look up the definition in the Merriam-Webster's online dictionary, it simply states that homeschool is teaching school subjects to a child at home. That's a very simplified version of what homeschool education is, but it's much broader and more complex than that, especially in today's post-pandemic world. I'm going to list for you some of the typical ideas about homeschooling, and I organize them into 5 different categories, each with their own little special name that I gave it. One typical idea that I call parent coordinator. That is a parent or parents who hire a full-time teacher to teach their children at home. The second idea about what homeschooling is, I call homeschool supervisors. This is when the parents are using an online or co-op program where students learn on the computer from a teacher for most of the day watching videos. Third typical idea about homeschooling is what I call parent managers. This is where parents are providing children with numerous educational programs that have some independent components and some components that require some parental involvement. The third homeschooling idea I call parent educators. This is where the parents are planning and delivering instruction to children on a block schedule and going through a set curriculum from beginning to end. The last homeschool idea I call parent co-learners. This is where parents are preparing various activities and experiences for children to learn from with the help of a parent as needed, learning alongside their children. When I started homeschooling in the early 2000s, I would consider myself a parent educator. I was a teacher after all and did go to college for that. My homeschool mostly mimicked the feel of a school schedule, but as I gained more experience, it developed more into a mixture of parent educator and parent manager / parent co-learner. Nowadays, homeschooling can take all kinds of forms. There is no correct way to homeschool, except one that meets the needs of your children, of course. Homeschooling is whatever the parent decides is the best for their family. That's the part the dictionary left out. Homeschooling is not just teaching subjects at home. And you might think that that's what it is too, but I hope to broaden your understanding. It's the parents that are the decision makers. So I would say a better definition might be a system of educating children that is controlled by parents and best meets the educational needs of the children. Everyone's homeschool is going to look different. It's not just teaching at home. The parents are the main authority. They approve the learning program. The parent controls every aspect of the child's life, as they've already been doing from birth. And as a side note, the state has some legal requirements, but in general, homeschooling parents are the ones deciding what the children do and learn. So what does this all mean for the value of homeschool? How is homeschooling better, or why choose to homeschool as opposed to send your child to a public school or a private school? What makes homeschooling a better option? There are many different reasons why parents would make the decision to homeschool. Most people homeschool to have that control over the education of their children. Some parents homeschool because of the enjoyment of being with their children, and they genuinely want to be with them all the time. Others choose to homeschool for the protection they can provide their children from bullying, bad influence, and danger. There are some parents who homeschool because of their love of teaching and being a part of the milestones of their children's lives. Homeschooling is better for the parent and the child in most cases. A typical parent naturally knows their child the best. They live with the child and have seen the child grow from the very beginning. Outside teachers usually only have a limited view of the child, even if they spend 6 hours with them at a traditional school 5 days a week. That seems like a lot, but that's a limited number of hours. If a parent is the educational decision maker in their child's life, they will naturally know what their child needs, and they will be able to attend to those needs right on the spot. Even parents who send their kids to public school have to give their input into the specific needs of their children. Oftentimes, public school administrators and teachers solicit the advice of parents to make decisions about their child's education. Parents know best even when they don't homeschool. So what does that mean for the purpose of homeschool education? What is the end goal of homeschool education? The basic purpose of homeschool education is for parents to make all the decisions about the education of their children and help them meet the educational needs of their children. In the last lesson, we learned and concluded that the purpose of education is to meet the needs of the whole child. Public schools try to do this, but they cannot without the full support of parents. Homeschooling is perfect for parents because they get to give their child the full support they need. I would add that the purpose of homeschool education, beyond the basic purpose of education, is to provide educational opportunities that can't be offered in a public or private school. Homeschool parents can teach academic subjects, provide emotional support, and offer educational opportunities that specifically help their children reach their potential. Homeschool parents should not be satisfied with anything common, standardized, or compulsory. Homeschool parents can individualize the educational program they provide for their children. That's the homeschool difference. Homeschool children have the time and resources to find their talents and interests much earlier in life. They can start to confidently build a life that is meaningful because they're busy preparing and equipping themselves with their parents' help. So now we move on to the goal of homeschool education. What can I do as a homeschool parent? What should my focus be as a homeschool parent? The goal of homeschool education is a bit different than the basic goal of education. The basic goal of education is to get the knowledge and training children need that prepares them for life. But the goal of homeschool education goes a little deeper. I think the goal of homeschool education specifically is to instill in your children a love of learning. That's the difference. Homeschooling is not just imparting knowledge and getting trained for life. It's about modeling for a student how to learn for themselves. And that's the key to a love of learning. When a child is able to learn for themselves, they are given the tools they need to live the life they want in the future. When a child knows how to learn, they love learning because they can decide what they want to learn, how they learn best, and what interests them the most. Well, how exactly do you help a child to learn for themselves? How long does it take a child to learn for themselves? Children who know how to learn for themselves are children who can do 3 things. Number 1, read well. Number 2, know what books they like to read. And number 3, know how to find information they need to get them where they want to go. I have compiled a list of activities that help children learn how to learn for themselves and turn it into a love of learning. If practiced from the beginning of school around age 4 or 5 or whenever the child is ready, children typically take about 5 or more years to learn this skill. They can learn bits and pieces of it along the way, but for a full independent love of learning, it would take probably about 5 years. And that's what elementary school is all about. Elementary school are the years that children develop the basic fundamental and simplest skills of learning. So be patient and be consistent. So on the last page of Lesson 4 handout, you will find a long list of things homeschool parents can do to help their children learn how to learn for themselves. So reference that resource for more information. Let me end by telling you a very short story about an amazing homeschool family I read about, and they are the Harding family. They're also known as the Brainy Bunch. They have 10 children, and their goal for homeschool education was to graduate their kids and prepare them to be college ready by age 12. Yes, sounds crazy, but they're doing it. I thought that was amazing when I heard that story. I know this isn't for everyone, and it was too late for me to get started on this path, but it was interesting to note that they were so focused on a clear goal. I wanted my kids to be ready for college, not by age 12, but by the time they were 17 or 18. I had heard about many of our founding fathers who went to college around age 14, but 12? That was amazing. My homeschool goals weren't that lofty. I wanted my kids to go to college after high school, but one of the main goals I had for my kids was to help them understand how to handle money, because I didn't want them to struggle with that the way I did. And guess what? That's exactly what my children learned. They are great with their finances. They're independent adults living on their own, and I am so proud of that. The Harding family had a unique goal, and they reached it. As you homeschool, keep your focus on the goal for your family and know with confidence that you will reach it. That's it for Lesson 4. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.